And we're live. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. It is Friday. The week has gone by, April 24th. I don't know about you, but I feel like the weeks are flying by. The market's open, clients have goals, lots of things going on, working from home. We're all in the same boat. We're all in this together. Hashtag in this together. Welcome to a live episode of Be the Boss of Your Money. If we haven't met yet, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Mitch Goldberg. I'm a financial advisor with decades of experience, and the firm that I own and operate is called Client First Strategy. Wealth management, asset management, insurance, you get the idea. What I do here is I have a show, a live stream, that is all about helping viewers become their best possible financial versions of themselves. We talk about investing, personal finance, and business. That's a pretty big umbrella, and lots of things come into that. The idea is there's always something new to learn. There's always something old that needs to be relearned, and there's always new perspective. So today's show, the main thing is I think the opening up of the state of Georgia is a very big deal. Just for the record, well, I'll tell you what I think for the record about the state actually opening for business. I also want to talk to you about separating the stock market from the economy, because a lot of people just don't get how could the economy be so bad, but the stock market seems to be holding up so much better. Shouldn't the stock market reflect the economy? I also want to talk to you about some of the wonderful guests I've had. And I've created a highlight reel, about a 3-minute reel, that has compressed about 2 hours worth of guest interviews, people who will explain to you how they've adapted their business to the world of social distancing, what they did to adapt their business. You'll learn something. Listen, you will learn from my shows. You'll learn from these people. These are great people. And I have a friend who's in the oil industry. He's in Houston, Texas. He's the president of Atlas Commodities. He knows more about the energy markets, oil, and how these things trade than anyone I know. He used to actually be on the NYMEX at one point in New York. So let's roll the introduction. We're going to cover some ground today, and I want to make my shows a little shorter. So let's do that. First, we roll the intro. See you in 15 seconds. Hey, we're back. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Mitch Goldberg. You're watching Be the Boss of Your Money. I'm going to do a couple of shout outs. I see a few people are out there, so I appreciate that already. Bill, I just saw you. You said hello, and I always appreciate that. Thank you very much. Folks, if you have any questions, that's what the comments are for. Words of encouragement are always appreciated. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to answer your questions. That's the best part. I would rather sit here for a half hour and just answer questions. In today's case, 20 minutes, and really go take a deep dive into your questions, your concerns about personal finance, the outlook on the market, the outlook on your own personal finance, steps to take, refinancing, insurance. There's so many things to talk about, the payroll protection program. So many ways to go here. So that's why I love this stuff, because it's so interesting and there's always new things to learn. I've been a financial advisor for 30 years, since 1990. And, as much as you think, there's, we always go into these situations where you just start with a blank slate and you can draw on experience, but it doesn't always apply to what's going on now. And you've got to be open-minded. You've got to really understand that sometimes you are in a new paradigm. Are we in a new paradigm now? You bet your you-know-what, okay? We are definitely in a new paradigm. We're not going back to the way we were before. I don't think so. I'm not saying we won't get used to it. I'm not saying that it's going to be totally flipped. But, there will be some things that will change. A lot of the things we do will continue to be done online. A lot of people will probably be more thoughtful of their social distancing, even if we don't have, social distancing like we do now. You'll see people wearing masks for a couple of months, I'm sure, when they go out, and you'll see some changes to the economy. It'll take a long time, I think, for people to get back to going on cruises and flying and travel. I'm not telling you something you don't know. You know this stuff, but I think it's starting to sink in. I think that's why, uh, for example, a stock of Peloton was up today because they just announced that they had the biggest full class participation ever. I think that stock went up a little bit today because it's already been up, because people are starting, investors at least, are starting to accept the possibility that, if we go back to work in May or June, it's, the phases are going to take a long time, and not everybody's going to be on the same schedule. We'll talk about that. So let's talk first about Georgia. The state of Georgia is opening up for business. They're doing it in a few phases. I keep seeing that they're going to be opening up. The first thing you see is tattoo parlors. Okay, I didn't realize that tattoo parlors was such a big sector in the state of Georgia. And then, barbershops, small businesses, restaurants. There's restrictions, distancing that's still going to be going on. That's still supposed to be enforced. My own view is it's too soon. We haven't bent the curve enough yet, but that's okay. It's not my decision. I do have family in Atlanta, and they're going to continue their social distancing and avoiding their important things in their lifestyle, like the gym and gatherings and restaurants and all that. And I think most people are. I think most smart people will continue to do that. I'm not saying you can't do anything. Look, plenty of people in New York, where I live, there, and I'm not far from the city. People are still putting on their masks. They're going to the Costco's of the world. They're still doing those things, and they need to. So I'm not judging. I kind of did, but I think it's too early. So I wanted to put that out there because when I talk about Georgia, I think it's important that, whether if you agree with me or not, that that I have a point of view. Because if you know that, I'm not someone to straddle the fence. I have a point of view, and you should know that if you're going to accept any knowledge from me, because you'll know where I'm coming from. And I think, whether if you agree with me or not, I think you'll take the knowledge a lot more seriously. And I think I'll be, I'm real, and I want to be real to you. So that's what that's about. The reason Georgia is so important is because it is, it's a test case. Now, there are, I think, 17 states that are presumably opening up around now, but Georgia's a big one. It's a big population. Atlanta is a huge city. I think it's the busiest airport in the world, the Atlanta airport. So it's a big deal, and we want to see how they do. We want to see how it works. Whether if you're, this has nothing to do with rooting for or against. I'm rooting for Georgia that they have a very successful outcome. I hope they do, because if they can do it, the rest of the country will learn a great deal here. We're about to learn a lot about how this disease works, about summertime, because Georgia, they're well into their springtime there, and we're going to learn a lot as a template for the rest of the United States. So if they can pull this off and it works, and they start getting back to business, you know what? Others can start imitating. And the more that happens, if it's successful, but if it's successful, then we have a lot to look forward to. So that's why I think it's such significant news that Georgia's opening. Let's not get into the political stuff. Oh, they're so this, and then other people like, that's great, they should be doing it. Look, how much longer can the economy stay like this? There are companies that are filing. I look at so many companies trading, $5-6 a share and under. That used to be much bigger companies. There are, I saw a number of companies, I think was it Neiman Marcus, and a few other companies are looking to potentially file Chapter 11 for bankruptcy protection over the near term. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Now, listen, not every company should be in business today. There were a lot of retailers that were barely surviving, but they had access to, endless amounts of credit. So now that that's cut off, you go from barely surviving to insolvency. Okay. You don't want to live on credit. You want to live on cash flow. Credit should be used to grow your business, not to support your business. But that's where we are. So now I want to talk to you about some of the publicly traded companies. Some companies are giving back the dough. So we're going to do a quick share screen over here. Share screen, share screen. So let's take a look at how the markets did today. All right. You can see that, right? Dow up about 1%, up 260. Not a terrible day. S&P up a little. NASDAQ up a little. Listen, I know, 1% plus days used to be considered like, oh, yeah, up over 1%. That's a lot. Today, anything under 2% doesn't really get my attention anymore. But the VIX, and I think this is what's significant, is the VIX was down 13%. And yesterday, when the Dow was up over 400 points, and then that news came out that Gilead's drug remdesivir failed in a clinical trial in China to help people with COVID-19, that's what took the market from up 400 to basically flat yesterday. But the VIX was barely up yesterday. And now that the market was up a little, the VIX is down a lot. VIX, I haven't seen the VIX at 35 and change in 2 months it's been. So that's pretty significant. A lot of fear is going out of the market underneath the surface. So let's take a look. Some publicly traded companies like Shake Shack. We heard Ruth's Chris is giving back money. There are a number of companies that have decided that they don't want the shame of having taken money out of the mouths of small businesses. Companies that don't need the money. They figured it's money grab, business is off, they'll take it. The money wasn't really meant for that. It's meant for companies with 500 and fewer employers. Shake Shack has more than 500 employees. I don't even know how they were able to apply for it. I really don't know how they pulled that off. There are a number of companies, publicly traded companies, that said they won't give the money back. One of them I read about, a biotech company that said, we're a teeny tiny little market cap. We're barely surviving before this because, biotech companies go on cash burn until they could come out with a viable drug and make money. And we can't give it back. And I can understand that. So I'm not looking to name and shame everybody. But I think it's good that a couple of companies who don't need the money are giving the money back. And I think if they didn't, there would definitely be hell to pay. I think your reputation in the view of the public would be mud if you actually took payroll protection program money, PPP, and didn't give it back because it wasn't for you. Bigger companies have other means to borrow. Okay. Something that was really surprising to me today. It's not coming up on the screen, but Zoom Technologies closed today. Let's just take my word for it. Okay, here it is. Zoom closed today at down $10 at 158. This down $1.50, down $1.22. That's aftermarket trading, but down about $10. Earlier in the day, the stock was in the 180s. Now that's pretty significant. They're going to be added, I think, to one of the benchmarks. They're going to be added to one of the benchmarks and cause a flurry of buying. People got excited. The stock. Let's see if I could show this down. The stock touched. You could see here about 181 today. That's a pretty big move, and it closed in the 150s. That to me is pretty significant. A blow off top, maybe. They've had the big news. They're added to an index. I don't think it's the S&P. By the way, okay, so here it is. Facebook rolling out free video calling for up to 50 people. Zoom shares drop as Facebook rolls this out. Listen, that's one of the problems of being a company like Zoom, of being a one-trick pony. Okay, when you're a one-trick pony, the problem is, another technology company can come out and do what you do. So Google Hangouts, okay. Nobody seems to be as popular as Zoom, and Zoom is so incredibly user friendly, and you don't need a Facebook account to be on Zoom. I don't know if you need to be on Facebook to use Facebook's video calling, but almost everyone you know is on Facebook. But other companies are coming for their lunch, and they've got other businesses, other lines of business to survive on it to fund their entrance into Zoom's business. So we'll see. Look, a lot of people said that about Netflix. So anybody can get into online streaming of content. And for a long time, that was a worry about Netflix. But look at it now. Nobody's really been able to touch Netflix. You know, the only other entrant maybe is Amazon Prime, but it's, you know, Amazon, it's nothing like Netflix though. Okay. So that just want to show you a couple of things. And then we already went over the market. Now here's something that I think is another pretty significant thing to look at. Okay. There's a drug called an anti-malarial drug called hydroxychloroquine. There's a few names for it. I guess that's the medical or the brand name. And the tests were stopped because they were the end result was death. People were getting irregular heartbeat and dying from the drug. So, you know, with all the hope out there, it looks like that drug is not going to be the one. The other day we had yesterday the one about from Gilead, remdesivir in China, but a lot of people feel that the China medical testing, the clinical trials weren't really fully legit. So we've got a couple of clinical trials in the United States that should be out literally next week. That could be a game changer for this market. If we get good results from those, but if we get good results from those tests next week, that could be a game changer for this whole market. Okay, and that's about it for the screen share. I'm going to stop the screen share now. You just get to see me again. You like my background, by the way? Wall Street. Nothing says financial advisor and Wall Street expert more than the Wall Street behind you and the New York Stock Exchange behind you. So what else do we have? I want to talk to you about the biggest topic of the day. All right. What the hell is going on? Oh, is that okay to say that on live stream? What the heck? What's going on with the stock market, the economy? Now, I was having a Facebook back and forth chat yesterday, and my name came up in it. I was tagged. And why people are asking me, my friends are asking me, why is the market holding up when the economy is getting worse? And by the way, just an observation, yesterday was the fourth week in a row where we had a horrendous first-time unemployment claims, and the fourth time in a row that the Dow is actually up in the face of horrendous employment news. Okay. Listen, the top 5 stocks in the S&P 500, which is an index, S&P 500 that you cannot invest directly into. You can't invest directly into an index, but you could invest in a security that mimics a traction index. Want to get that out of the way. The top 5 companies are bigger than the bottom 350 companies in the S&P 500. Now, those 350 companies employ a hell of a lot of people. But when you take a look at the smaller companies, which are a lot of them in the S&P, you take a look at the Gap, which from what I understand is having trouble paying rent. I read something about that. Macy's, Macy's doesn't seem to be too many steps behind Sears, does it? Just a view from here. You see so many small companies with tiny market caps. Ford Motor has a pretty small market cap now that they don't really move the needle anymore, unless they're on in a small cap index like the Russell 2000, but they're not. So the market is favoring the largest companies, which is why those companies are the largest to begin with, and they're actually thriving now. People are using Amazon more than ever. Nobody's going to stop, watching YouTube videos. If anything, they'll watch more YouTube, a division of Alphabet. Okay. So if you want to know what's going on with the market, it's as long as money keeps going into the biggest names, that is the market. And the economy is not going to really, look, the Dow just went, and the major benchmarks, the S&P and the Dow, came down over 30% from, mid-February up until about a month ago. 1 month ago was the low. This coming Monday will be a month that we hit the so far the bottom of this bear market. but the biggest companies are attracting the money. They are doing well. You know, the Walmarts of the world, the Target, Target. I'm saying this because Target reported that their online business was up 275% year over year. That's massive. And do you think people are going to go back? Yeah, I guess people will go back to stores again. But now that people got used to ordering online from Target, I don't think they go back for that. I don't think they stop doing that. I don't think Target minds. Okay, they get the business. So those are some of the big things. Now, I had some really good guests on this week. I've never done this before. I've never had 4 guests in a row, but I had Michelle Blum, Rob Basso, John Robertson, and Andrew Goldstein. 4 different businesses, 4 different sectors of the economy. 3 of them explain how they turned their business around, how they were able to adapt in the world of social distancing. And I found it very inspiring. And one of them explained to me what the heck is going on in oil. So I'm going to play 2 hours into 3 minutes condensed of what we went over. So I want you to take a look at this, and I'm going to show you the highlight reel. Just a few minutes, but it's really good. All right. I promise you it'll be worth your while. So I'm going to play that right now.
So the simple advice that I could give at a high level is just because you haven't done it before, as long as you're going to offer a relevant product or service that has something to do with what you used to do while things are in a different state, be creative and think about things. Think about how to solve problems. The reason entrepreneurs exist is to solve other people's issues and challenges. So if you focus on the market challenges with the product or service that you offer, you're going to generally have some sort of result. No, it's about productivity. It's about managing the entire situation to give the client the best experience. There's going to be different opportunities. I think one thing that America's always been good about is turning to what seems a significant negative into a positive.
What the heck is going on with the oil market?
Well, there's a lot going on. So to make it simple, since the beginning of the year, crude oil is trading around $70 in January. So we're off about 80% in the price as of where the market settled today at $14. There are a couple of factors. The advancement of COVID-19 to the levels of having basically countrywide quarantine is putting a lack of demand on airlines and driving as well. So you have all this oil supply, but you don't have the current demand for it. Yet the world is still pumping oil and still producing oil, and they have nowhere to put it. And you can't just cut production off. So we realize now that we don't have the demand, we can't just stop pumping. The problem is the refineries purchase this oil to refine gasoline, jet fuel, heating oil, whatever products they're refining it into. And now there's just no demand for it. So
I always feel like if you're doing the right thing by your clients and I'm doing the right thing by my staff, the right thing is going to happen to me in whatever way that it can. And if it doesn't with that way, then it probably never was. So my whole thing, during this time has just been add value, make sure we're doing everything that our clients, need, make sure you're thinking of all the issues that might pop up that are very unique to the situation. And, let's really kind of like thrive. That's been the word that I've been using to my clients, to my staff, like let's thrive. There's gonna be a lot of stories that come out of this. We're making our story now. Let's make it a really good one that we're proud to tell. People craved a sense of normalcy. And, when you work one-on-one with somebody and you work, on something like nutrition where it is very, intimate and it does relate back to some other problems and stuff. I said to all my girls, I was like, you are providing a sense of normalcy for them. Also, we are big kind of proponents of making a lifestyle change. And one part of our mantra is that in order to make a lifestyle change, you have to do things with real life stuff going on. And as bizarre that it is, this is real life, you still have to do that. And then
Rocky Balboa of the business community right now.
I don't think I'm unique to that. I think what I'm finding is everybody seems to be helping everybody out. As far as this, we did pivot. We changed from our corporate catering, our breakfast and lunch, to we're purveyors of fine fruits and veggies. What happened here was when we thought we were going to be closed down for the next couple of months, I decided to have a garage sale with the items that were in my walk-in box. And so I put on social media, and please share this, everybody. Please share. We're having a farmers market, if you will. And so I got a tremendous turnout I thought that I would do this Saturday and Sunday, and it went on. But what happened was we got a great turnout. I had to actually go to the market Sunday because it was already shared so many times. There was no pulling back. I would have been embarrassed if I didn't have produce. So I actually went to the market to buy more produce for that Sunday. And I realized, you're always looking for to solve the need in the marketplace. What do people need from you?
All right. What do you think of that? Was that terrific? So these are real life business owners that have learned how to adapt their business in the age of social distancing. And it's not just about everybody going online or just everybody working from home or everybody conducting everything in the cloud and on Zoom calls. You saw one guy, he has a face-to-face or a business that doesn't work for social distancing, and he turned his restaurant/corporate caterer into a big farmer's market, which, by the way, delivers also. And you could just call them up and tell them what you want, and they'll put together the whole package. And just when you get there, you open your trunk, curbside pickup, they put it right in. People are adapting. Businesses are adapting. None of them are saying that things were as good as they were before this, but they are all saying that they want to do everything they can to do as well as they can to survive so they can thrive going out of this. When I asked Michelle Blum, Nutrish Mish, what does she do to bring in income? And she says, we'll bring in income where we can, but right now it's all about providing value to our clients, to our community, so that people will come to us and want to do business with us when this is over. That's the only attitude you can take. Okay. That's the real attitude. Just want to give a couple of shout outs out here. Thank you very much. Hey, Tom, good to see you. Stacy, always great to see you guys. Thank you so much for your support. You're always so great like that. A couple of comments out here. Hey, Matt, what up, Guru? I'm putting that on the screen. Oh yeah. What up, Guru? Hey, Matt, thanks a lot. Good to see you. And Patriot. I am a Patriot. My friend Rob Basso's the Patriot, and Bill Conklo's out there. Hey, Bill, great to see you. And also on LinkedIn, we have Scott. Scott, where are you now? You in South Africa? I'd love to know where you are. I think you're in South Africa, right? We need to speak one of these days. You're always showing me some, the social media love. So that's it. The big things to watch out for next week are remdesivir test results. That's the Gilead drug. Also, how things went over the weekend in Georgia. I would say those are really, and of course we have to see the level of new COVID-19 infections, deaths, and ICU and hospital admissions. We need to see those things continue to level off, which is something we all desperately want. So those are the three big things to watch. I think those are a bigger deal than any amount of earning. Well, there are no earnings to really speak of. So I think those are the big three things that we need to watch, and we'll have a pretty good handle on that on Monday morning. And the beat goes on. So thank you for watching. I'd like to wish all of you good health and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Bye.